What's going on, folks? I'm going to try to show y'all real quick how I bondo my ears for taxidermy. I can find the stick. Man, I gotta hurry. Where's my sticks? Where's my sticks? All right, I'm back. I lost my stick. All right, I'm going to show y'all how I bondo my ears. This stuff sets up pretty quick depending on how warm or how cold it is. But I think you can see that pretty good. All right, so I got one ear done and we're going to work on this next ear right here. So what I'm doing with this ear, it's all been cleaned and everything removed from the inside. Roughed up the cartilage, all the flesh is removed. So we're going to shape this ear because right now it has no shape and it won't hold like that. So what I do is I make a little pocket. This is a little trick I learned from old Dave Mager in Louisiana. But you take your Bondo and just roll it like a little pastry tube right there. And then you got a little spout and you can just push it in there. So I take the back of that ear. I gotta kind of hurry through this, so if I'm talking crazy, I'm moving too fast. Then I'm just gonna squeeze that Bondo down into the ear pocket. A lot of people use ear liners nowadays. This is just kind of a old school method, I guess. I don't know. It's you just gotta shape it yourself. There's like pros and cons to everything. We're gonna get that Bondo in there really good, and I'm gonna pack a towel in the back so it doesn't come out while I'm shaping it. All right, so now I gotta make sure the other ears. Now I just got a floppy ear, and you can kind of see it's just I gotta start moving all this Bondo around. Okay. I don't know if that glare is gonna get you. All right, so what I'm doing now with my hand, I'm just trying to evenly move all this Bondo around before it starts getting hard. And I just decided to do a video last minute, so it's kind of a mess. All right. And then I got to be mindful of this other ear because it's only been done about 15 minutes or so. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get me an even consistency of that Bondo, and I'm trying to make sure it's spread all throughout the ear evenly. I don't know how it goes all over my hand. You got to split and turn these ears all the way to the edges. If you don't, you won't be able to get it to fill in. I left a little bust through hole on the very tip of this ear, and that's where I'm getting it on my hand at. Sometimes it's good to do that so you don't get an air pocket. Sometimes I'll go back and pop a hole right there anyway. But it is annoying when you got Bondo coming out. What I'm doing is now that I've got it filled, I'm just going through here and I'm pressing. I'm smoothing that Bondo to where it's evenly spread. And this is an early season deer, so it's got really thin ears and already wore and rubbed from all the ticks. So these ain't really the best to work on. Depending on how hot or cold it is the dependency on how fast this Bondo sets and how much hardener that you use. I took a picture of what I use, but that ain't gonna help you. When it's real hot, this stuff kicks really fast, and when it's colder, it takes a long time. So you just got to kind of know what you're dealing with and try to set your control. And I try to do this Bondo outside because it stinks. All right, let me see if I can get you close. All right, here we go. See, you can see it's got a little curl to it, and we don't want that curl. That Bondo, we just gotta smooth it out. See the back of this ear, it's kind of fat and bubbly and not smooth. So what we've got to do is just keep smoothing that out. They make a tool, but a lot of times I'll just put it on the tabletop like this, and I'll just press until I feel it go in there. And it's kind of hard at first because it's softer, so it wants to move around on you too much. So you gotta kind of wait till that magic time starts happening, and then you gotta be really fast because once it starts to harden, it hardens up pretty quick. And what I'm doing, any extra, I'm just pushing it out to the back of that ear where that paper towel's at. And once I start to get a good consistency, I can really start to work that ear as it's getting harder to shape. And it's going to lock in. Once that Bondo starts to lock in, it's going to lock in hard. So all I'm trying to do is just rub the back of that ear real smooth, where it's just really thin. Not thin enough to where it won't be strong, but thin enough to where it'll show all the detail and it'll look just like a real deer ear. Because if you get it real bulky and fat, it's not the same. You want it really smooth and flat and consistent. And these early season deer, they're almost just like leather. They barely have any hair on them. So I'm just working these edges. I'm not squeezing it too hard, but what I'm doing is I'm pulling that hair with this thumb and then I'm pushing it with my finger. So I'm curling that edge to get it really curved up edge because I don't want it pulling on me once I'm done. So sometimes you gotta bring it over. And normally I wouldn't even be doing a deer like this right now, but this is a special occasion, I guess you would say. We're getting harder, it's getting pretty stiff, so now you really got to do your last little bit of touches on your edges. And it'll feel thin, and then once it starts to get hard, you'll be like, whoa, there was more in there than I thought. So you really got to know your consistencies. What I like to do is I stick my thumb in the ear hole like this, and I'll grab the back and I'll press and I'll come down and smooth that tip. And then at the very tip, I curve it just a little bit because on a natural deer, you'll have that curve. And then I'll do it on the other side with my opposite hand. You can't really do this until it gets hard enough to shape. And then I'll just really secure that edge real good. Make sure I'm nice and tight. You can start to kind of see the detail in the ear itself. All right. Glad that went off without a hitch. Kinda. Oh, I'm not even recording. Oh, yeah. It only took me 10 minutes to do this ear. Just really pinch your edges. And what I'll do before it gets too hard is I'll take a little steel wool brush. Oh man. Oh, it is right here, my bad. It's right in my face. And I'll just knock that extra little Bondo off before it gets too hard. And then I'll make sure my tip and my Bondo in there is really secure. Oh yeah. And before it gets all the way set up, you got to cut that Bondo extra out the back. If you don't, it's kind of a nightmare to cut off. So while it's still soft, you just slice it right there where you need to, where you're going to build that ear butt back up. Alright. So I think that ear is pretty good. And it'll get harder and harder. Like right now, it's still kind of soft. But once it's all the way hard enough, it'll be really hard. All right, that's how I do my ears before I do clay. Next, I'll build up the ear butts with clay, and I'll rebuild them and give it the shape.